I wrote this program to help me try and figure out the relationship between amount of insulin that I need to take with meals, and I didn't understand the concept between number of insulin units per calories or per grams of carbohydrate, or if fat and protein made any difference in the or calories from fat and calories from protein had anything to do with how it related to the number of insulin units I needed to take per consumption. So I wrote this part of the program to give me readouts so I could do quick and easy readouts by entering the information of the things I was consuming, and I could see, how many calories and how many grams of carbohydrate, grams of fat, grams of protein, grams of sugar, and then their percentages of calories from carbohydrate, protein, or fat. But because my doctor told me that I need to calculate based on grams of carbohydrate and not on calories, so then they gave me a formula, which is what everyone uses, I guess. It's a standard formula that it's based on 1500 or 1800 rule. It's called insulin to carb ratio and insulin sensitivity factor. And so it's a formula, it's a common formula, you can Google it. So I wrote it into the program so that you can calculate based on either you enter your number of units of insulin you take a day, basal insulin, your long-acting insulin. This is only for people who take a regimen of one long-acting 24-hour lasting basal insulin shot, and then they either take fast-acting insulin or regular insulin to cover their meals. And the formula is different for the fast-acting and for the regular, so I put that in here. And then, so if you put in your insulin to carb ratio and your insulin sensitivity factor, you can do that manually. Your doctor would give you a formula, and those numbers would be in the formula. But you can also calculate based on the number of insulin units you take a day, and it'll give you a readout of the difference between the two formulas. So if you set it manually, you get a certain readout, 3.1 units. But if you do based on the number of units you take, then you'll get a different readout. And it'll tell you number of grams of carbs covered per 1 unit of insulin. Or you can set that manually. And it'll tell you how many milligrams per deciliter glucose points. Or you can set that manually. Anyway, so when you go to test and to have a meal and to take insulin, you measure with your glucose meter your blood sugar level, which is measured in milligrams per deciliter glucose. So you have whatever you test, you enter that number here, and then you have a target blood glucose, which should be, some people, a good average would be 100 milligrams per deciliter, but some people are targeting lower or higher. Anyway, so with the with the selections, you can choose what you're going to put in. But if something is not in your selections and you know how many grams of carbohydrate it has in it, you can also put in the extra number of, like a piece of bread, if it has like a lot, usually that many, 26 grams, we'll just say. If you enter that, it'll account for that along with the selections you've made and give you a different reading, or a different readout for your estimated units of insulin that you need to take for your meal. So it's all of the selections within these, within the selections they're from a database, and I use, within the MySQL database, and I use Webmin to enter the data. So within the database there are fields which would be the different types of information for each selection, and then within viewing the data, you see you have information for each one of the things. So if you buy a bunch of bananas or like a box of cereal, the box of cereal has a cost. It has servings within that box, number of servings within the box, and then there's all the nutritional information, which tells you how many grams are in the serving, how many calories are in the serving, and grams of fat per serving, etc. And you put all those information into the database, and then within your selections it will give you can choose to calculate based on one banana, like one serving would be one banana. But if you want to weigh, you can do in grams. If you have a scale, you can, whatever you have, you can put on a scale, and then it'll give you the readout of how many, the information you're looking for. And underneath it tells you, once you've added all that up, it gives you the totals of everything added together to give you total numbers. And then there's also a macro, which is a totaled macro, which is percentage of calories from carbohydrate, percentage of calories from fat, and percentage of calories from protein. And there's also estimations on cost analysis, if like for everything you ate, the number of grams per dollar, how much it costed per dollar, how many calories you got per dollar, and how many grams of carbohydrate you got per dollar. But if you put in information into you make your selections, it scales, so you can put in everything you buy per week, and it will tell you, and that's kind of like, it'll give you your macro. It'll also give you your cost, but if you break it down and you're trying to eat 3,000 calories a day, it'll tell you how much it's going to cost per day, per week, per month, per year. Or if you want to change it to 2,500 calories or 2,000, it'll give you a readout for that many calories. And that's pretty much where the program's at right now. But the insulin sensitivity factor and the insulin to carb ratio is what I recently added to it. And I don't know if anyone else is looking for something like this, or if they want to learn to program something like this, or if they want to be able to use something that makes it easy for them to calculate the number of insulin units they need to cover a meal, because this is something that I can just put on my phone and carry around with me, because it's just HTML. Anyways, that's what I wanted to show. If I can find a place to upload this to and make it available to others, I would do that. That's where I'm at right now with this.